doing it. Balfour Beatty are doing it outside of ITT, although at other parts of the UK, various projects which spring to mind that have been delivered zero defects. Now, the definition of a defect is something that gets muddled up sometimes, so we don't want to get it confused. So a defect is a snag, defect, non-compliance, or defective work. It's not to be confused with planned outstanding or deferred work. Defective work is a cumulative result of poor planning, poor delivery, and poor workmanship. So, talking to the other guys in the other projects about what we need to do to get to defect-free delivery, we need support from the top. That's the one theme that ran through the whole lot. It was driven from the top down. So, for defect-free delivery, we need to change the mindset of the delivery teams, and that starts at the top. And it needs support. It needs rolled out within ITT with the engineers. It starts with the engineers with support from the peers. We need to create a culture of taking pride in our work. Everyone needs to start thinking quality. We all have safety and program and cost in the forefront of our mind. We want to be thinking quality. Quality needs to be there too. So we need to identify and isolate the root cause of any defective work on site. And what we want to do is we want to scoreboard the top 5 usual suspects. So on to the next slide.
Just before we move on, Damo, John saying, of course, defect-free delivery is possible. The saying that it's possible to send everyone home safe every day.
It is, yes. So we know it's possible because it's being done elsewhere in the UK. It's just it's a mindset, it's a culture change. So as we go through the slides, we'll see how it reflects what we've done with safety. So the road to defect-free delivery begins with a change in attitude towards defective work. So defective work is unacceptable. We were better at this 6 years ago, I believe. Defective work on site can't become a snag or a DAO. People need to take ownership of defective work on site. We need to install a sense of pride in our work with the right first-time attitude. We have the skills on site and the knowledge on site to eliminate a lot of the defects when they come up. We're just lacking the attitude at the moment to sort it out straight away. I'm talking about 6 years ago, I was on a job in Paddington. I walked around with John Dooney as a handback. He had a GoPro camera on him. There was a big push back then to try and bring the defects and the snags down. You know, we went a long way to reducing those defects and snags, but there's still a way to go. But we need to take responsibility for defective work on site. And as I said, we need to find out the top 5 and eliminate those. So rework brings down profitability. We need to think contract extension. And we'll just have a look. So second point there is, what is the impact of defective works on ITT? So I believe it's a risk to the entire project. It reduces the viability of the project, both for the client and the contractor. Everyone should be thinking, we've got 4 years work in this contract. We're looking to get a 6 years contract extension. That gives us 10 years work. That's 10 years work for everyone involved in these calls or everyone involved at ITT. So John Lambert, when he set out with his collaboration charter, he stated in those meetings and those kickoff meetings that he wanted Balfour Beatty to achieve their SDIs. He wanted them to get a larger margin. He wanted us to hit all our targets. If we're hitting our targets, we're getting a more viable contract with more profitability, and then you're getting a world-class service. So at the outset of this, London Underground wanted Balfour Beatty because he won the contract, and Balfour Beatty wanted London Underground because historically we've proven that we're reliable and we have delivery certainty. So what should we do differently? We just go. So what we should do differently is, it's very simple. We need to eliminate bad workmanship on site, and that's an easy win. As I said previously, we had an engineer and a gang walking out with a handbag. We were reducing 50% of the snags there and then. They weren't going on the snagging list and going back to site. boots on ground. It's all about getting the boots off ballast. I think a lot of the defects can be eliminated during planning. So if we improve our planning, the quality of our planning, we need good ITPs, need to reduce the snagging, we'll hit our SDIs, and it'll increase the ITT margin, which makes us lean. That's where we want to be.
Damian, again, before we move on, some interesting things have come through. Lee's saying what we need to do is fully utilize the weekend possessions and close out Dowell's race by handbacks on the back shift and not leave it until follow-up works. What do you think?
Yeah, so that's the point exactly we're trying to make. So, as I said, we were making moves towards that 6 years ago, or maybe a bit less. We need to get back to that because it is very easy to go out with a gang and an engineer on the back shift, walk with the handbacks. So I think there's a bit to be done in training. I think we need to get the engineers focused on snagging and maybe review the standards. Walking with the handbacks will help us understand the standards better because they have a better understanding of the standards than anyone else across the business. So they're the guys that can help us point. You know, there's easy wins out there. So he's bang on the money. So that's what we want to do.
Yeah,
and we can do it. Then they're really to do this.
Gary's also said currently the supervisors and gangs work on all jobs, and he's asking why don't we go back to having dedicated gangs and supervisors in the teams? That way they take more ownership of the jobs itself.
So that's the business model. That's the way it's set up. So we used to have specialist teams and specialist gangs. The way the new contract's set up, we're multidisciplinary gangs, so we're delivering all sorts of aspects of the business. So that's something would have to be, the senior leader team would have to look at that if they're going to put a remodel us back to the way we were.
Okay.
I think it works well how we are at the moment, to be honest. Obviously there's room for improvement, but that's what we're trying to get to here. So just some historical information. So in year one, the follow-up budget, this is in track partnership year one, so it's 10 or 11 years ago maybe now. So the follow-up budget was exceeded by 290% in year one. So going through historic slides and historic presentations, that was addressed back then, and we got better at it, but we didn't get good enough. So what we're saying is low quality. It was high on time, high on cost. So it cost us money. So both contracts, the old contract and the new contract, cost reimbursable, but the old contract was cost plus, which meant we were getting paid for any time we went out, we were working, we were getting paid. The new contract is target cost, put into sort of simplified terms, that's pay and gain. So the pain is rework is costing the project money, which is pain, and defect makes us lean, which would be gain. The pain felt there from the contractor perspective is the margin goes down. That's number 3. Again, I'll go harking back, and I'm going to say this again about John Lambert. When he set out, he told us he wants us to be achieving this. We want to be having gain, not pain. You know, he wants a world-class delivery. Balfour, Beatty, and Alistair want a more lucrative contract. If we bring the rework down, that's what we're going to get. We're going to get a better margin. So we can deliver this contract reducing snagging, do things better. We've had the initiatives right first time. We've looked at it before. Sure, right first time. It needs to be standard practice, and again, that's gain. That's gain efficiencies across the contract, which we can do as we progress through it. I'm going on to point 5. So defect-free delivery, I believe, starts in planning. So if we plan a lot of these, as we go through it, you'll see a lot of the defects, and it's obvious that these defects, it's not the guy putting the pot screw into the ground. That's not the problem. The problem starts in the planning stages. So we need quality close calls, and we need close calls in design, procurement, quality, and workmanship, and delivery on site. So we need to raise close calls. We get a full cycle of investigation and a finding, and then we can address it. So on to the next slide. So defect-free delivery. So why do we have consistent problems with rework items on site? And this is happening week in, week out. Everyone across the business is aware of it. So we're just accepting it at the moment. So top five usual suspects. I'm going to offer this to the floor if anyone wants to try and guess. I'm sure we all know. I'm surprised if everyone doesn't get the top 2 or 3. So everyone will know. If we just ask anyone, anything comes through it, we can have a look and see. The very first one, everyone should know, I would think, because it's, yep, so that's it. So it's conductor rail fettling. Top one is mainly drilling out high pot screws. We go back and we do that week in, week out. So number 2, if anyone wants to have a punt at that. So yeah, so it's coming in yet. So again, it's ballast quality and ballast reworks, boxing in, shoulder profiling. We're doing this again week in, week out. So it's something that we need to address at the planning stage. So number 3, we have resquaring sleepers, which everyone knows again. This tends to happen more when we have track on various radii. Number 4 seems to be something currently where it's cable protection and cable troughing installation seems to be done in follow-up works. And number 5 is wrong clips and componentry installed during the weekend, and we have to go back and redress. So that's basically the top 5 suspects, and we're going to go into a bit of detail. But why are we consistently leaving these top 5 defects every week? And it's an attitude, it's culture, whatever way you want to put it. It's an attitude of mañana. It can be done tomorrow. It can be done in follow-up works. What we're saying here, it can't be done in follow-up works. Do it now. Now, the reason we are like that at the moment is, as a delivery team, we've been predominantly focusing on reliability. Now, we need to continue to be reliable, obviously, because that's what keeps the business going. But we need to ensure our works are delivered perfectly snag-free, defect-free, if you like. It's about our commitment to continuous improvement and being world-class. So I believe we're the number 1 in our industry. We're forefront. So we need to retain that. So we need to be reliable. So safety, reliability, and quality is what we need to be thinking about.
David, again, before we move on, there's an interesting point raised by Daz. So he's saying if within the possession limits we have jobs previously completed, but we haven't closed out all the snags yet, we can utilize the working area to close these out, saving on various costs within that particular possession.
Yeah, so we do look at that. So in a possession, we do tend to pick up maybe the more major follow-up work, so that we don't maybe concentrate the snagging, but we do pick up any follow-up times within the possession limits. We try and do utilize the possessions. You know, we've always said do as much as we can in any closure. Maybe it's something. Maybe we should look at the DAOs lists as well of other sites while we're doing the follow-up time and try to close those out. Again, that's something that you know, it's a very good point, and I'm sure it's something that we should look at.
Yeah. Lisa also said that we've had issues in the past where snagging lists are signed off as complete, but when you actually walk the site, these aren't completed. This gets the maintainers backs up straight away when trying to hand back a site. So I guess his point is we must ensure that what we say is done is actually done.
Yes, and we've all had that. There's nothing as embarrassing if you walk with a maintainer. I know we had it down at Camden. We were trying to hand back the Camden works, and the stuff was all signed off, and it was signed off by the foreman and the supervisor on site. I don't think it's deceitful. I do think a lot of the time these things get signed off, and then some of the sort of rework, maybe the quality's not so good, and by the time we get to walk through again, it's deteriorated again, and it might look like we haven't done stuff. But I know there is incidents where we said we've done something, changed the clip, and we haven't. So.
Simon actually raises a really good point. He says we should have the maintainer come in and walk the site on a back shift to see what he personally highlights.
Yeah, again, so we have done that in the past. So it's hard to get the maintainer. It depends which line you're on and which maintainer you're dealing with, but some of them are a bit more willing than others, I'd say. So I see a couple of comments coming in there. Again, Simon said a good idea is, yeah, once we sign off a defect, we do need to take photographs of it. Then we photograph evidence, and it's, you know, gives everyone confidence that it's actually been done. So we're going to go through the top 5 defects. I think, you know, some of these are a very easy win for ITT. This is stuff, you know, once we remobilize, this is stuff we can do straight away. So Conrail fettling. So until I started looking into this, I was watching guys and seeing the snagging list, and you've got a high pot screw, and you're thinking, well, why didn't, and Megan Rayner came to me and she said, you know, so Megan's doing some very good work on field 360, capturing all these snags as well, because historically the snags went into the diff and they weren't fed into sort of the dials, if you like. So she's capturing all the defects at the moment. So she was saying to me, why are we persistently having high pot screws? I said, I don't know. So she said, why don't they just run them down where they're supposed to? So I spoke to Paul Haynes afterwards, and I said, why is it? And he says, because of the fines in the pre-drilled holes. So that's happening during top ballast activities. So this next one, how do we prevent this? Now this is easy. Everyone knows how to prevent it. We'll throw this to the floor. How do we prevent the fines going into the pre-drilled holes, the pot screws? And that's going to come through. Everyone knows why. Yep, that's coming through. Yeah. So how to prevent this? We ensure. Yep. So there you are. You have plastic caps. Yep. So we ensure plastic caps in all the holes. We need to have spurs on site. This is so easy. Have some spurs on site. Going to how we capture the poor quality. So capturing the poor quality, I think in RISELIP, when we're loading sleepers, we need an ITP done. We need to have some spare caps there as well. So the guys loading sleepers can bang some spare caps in. Some get missed. We can put them in on site. But I think the ITP filled out at RISELIP when they're loading sleepers. Spares on site. Yes, we can put them in. But I think we need to go back to the supplier as well. And this is an LU supplier, I believe, that supplies with the sleepers. We need to tell them that, you know, we need to have plastic caps in every hole when it goes to site. So an easy win for this is to have a gang and an engineer to go along in front of the top ballast because you put them and just bang any ones in that are missing. So Conrail fettling accounts for at least 60% of all snagging across ITT. This is an easy win for ITT. This is within our remit to change, and we can change this straight away. This is an easy win. We're going to number 2. So number 2 is the ballast quality, poor quality, and reworks of ballast. So again, getting poor quality ballast is coming from our suppliers. I believe it's an LU supplier. We've all seen bricks and fines on site. So that's an issue. We need to go back to supplier. We need to take photograph evidence, captured in an ITP. So how do we prevent this? So we need good communication with the suppliers. I think the other issue with ballast is the profiling. So big thing that I see week in, week out is we come back, we do boxing in activities. We sort of use the excuse that, well, we can do our ballast works after a follow-up tomp, but really the boxing in should be done on the weekend because we may not need a follow-up tomp to maintain track quality. A lot of the time, as a matter of course, we're stockpiling ballast in the wide way, or we're putting it in a wide cess, and then we're getting gangs to come back. Extra manual handling, extra boots on ballast. These guys are putting 25 kilo bags, they're putting it on the trolleys, and they're redistributing it around the site and boxing in. So, to the floor, how do we capture this poor quality? And I know if I was an op, I would be keen to capture this because shoveling ballast is not much crack for anyone. So, yep, it's coming in here. So it's pretty standard. We need a good ITP to capture the ballast. It's an attitude change. We need we need more time to do the profiling in the weekend. So we need to make sure it's captured in the program. Again, close call, poor quality. It requires dialogue, as I said, with our LU suppliers. I don't know if commercial can work out some sort of compensation event for getting something that's of substandard quality. So I know if I was an op, I would be close calling it, because I don't want to come back and shovel ballast when you've got a big yellow machine there on site that can do all the redressing for us with the profile bucket and with the ballast brush.
So Damon, there's a couple of things coming in as well. Henry's saying poor quality materials can be rejected straight back to the suppliers. So I think we just need to be a bit more strict on that with our suppliers.
Yeah, so we need to capture that in the TLB, because obviously when we have it on site, it has to go in home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Simon's also saying, can we use ballast hoppers? Would that help?
So the ballast hoppers are, yeah, and we have used them. We've used them in the past. Yeah, so this is like, so there's good practices do get lost as you progress through contracts, you know, because we lose people. There's people that have preferences and they come and go. So yeah, so we've used the hoppers in the past. They've worked very, very well. I know the auto hoppers work very well from the GLB.
And another one actually from Di is teach all gangs how to do ballast work properly, as some gangs simply hasn't been taught how to do it properly, basically. So I guess it's a training issue.
Yeah, so there shouldn't be any op on site that doesn't know how to box and ballast. You know, it's standard stuff. If that's a quality issue with the suppliers, then we need to take it up with them.
Okay.
So if we move on to the third one. So this one's an easy one, and I'm going to throw this to the floor as well. So re-squaring and re-spacing sleepers. Again, it's a bit bigger problem on curved track. So the root cause, if anyone wants to have a punt of that, I know we all know what the problem is, because again, this is stuff that's happening week in, week out. Again, this is an easy win for ITT, for the delivery teams. I don't know, if I was an op, I wouldn't want to be coming back re-spacing sleepers after they put the ballast in. So yeah, so there's a couple of comments coming through there. Yeah. So first and foremost, on the sleeper lane, especially in track curve, they tend to get laid out off square. So this is not a criticism, but they're generally eyed in by one of the foremen. We've got really good foremen and we've got even better foremen. But I think with a bit of support from the engineers, this is an easy win. We need an engineer to help the guys square the sleepers up as they're going in. Because instead, no one wants to come back and dig 2 beds out to square sleeper up. So how do we prevent this? Well, Cat 1 sleeper should be laid plus 25mm square. So this is easy. We've got sleeper squares in Rislip. They're never taken to site. On deep 2 jobs, we do tend to take them, but on BTRs, we don't. All the engineers can use Pythagoras. I suppose that argument is we don't really need the sleeper squares, but sleeper squares are easy. Everyone can use them. So if we checked, especially on, depending on the radius of the curve, if we checked every 5th sleeper, every 10th sleeper, if we just squared them up for the foremen, it leaves their job easier that they can eye it in. It's easier then if something to work through. But as I said, we need to get the ops to raise quality close calls with these, because I know I don't want to come back and dig 2 beds out to square sleeper up whenever it just needs to shove with a bar on the weekend whenever the beds are empty. And again, this is an easy one. Within our remit to change, this is an easy win for ITT. We should be doing this straight away. So I'm going through the number 4. What we've identified is cable protectors and cable troughing. It seems to be a current issue on a lot of sites at the moment. So cable protectors seem to be an afterthought, I think, on LU at the moment. They're not always present on existing sites, so a lot of times you don't think about it. That's no excuse. So, you know, how do we prevent it? So we itemize it in our EAR, and the engineer should know the quantity of the cable protectors needed after the T-12 walk out with power. Third one, I'll offer to the floor again. How do we capture this? Yeah, it's turning into a bit of a mantra. Yeah, we need ITPs and we need quality closed calls raised. If they're getting admitted during delivery, we need to raise it, and I think it's something that maybe the engineers need to raise on the T-12 on the walkout. If they're not present, why aren't they present? Because it's standard, they're supposed to be present on site. And again, this is one of the easy ones. It's within our remit to change, and it's an easy win.
Damo again.
So number 5. Yep.
A suggestion has come in. Why don't we have a DFD nominated engineer?
So I do come to that in one of the later slides, but that's where we want to get to. Yeah,
Okay.
that's so we will touch on that, and I think it's a couple of more slides. So we need as a business, and it's a culture change, and it's attitude. We need to be focusing on quality, because that's, you know, you've got it's where we could fall down. Health and safety, we could lose the project. Reliability, we could lose the project. Quality, we can lose the project. So 5th one, again, so this is wrong clips generally on different componentry. So missing the wrong componentry, this is predominantly in PNC. So in the past, I've been on site where we've installed a stock and switch. You put all your bearers in, you realize 2 vertical bearers off the front of the twist, they're still in bees and they're still up in Nottingham. So we leave a hole, we carry on with the works. We're relying on this lorry coming down. I could tell numerous times where Owen Stratford has bailed us out of the brown stuff because he's happened to have something in his car, a chair or something in his boot. Dave Hodge at Harron Hill, he pulled us out of the crap one day because he had a spare ladder in his shed at home for a signal that we tried to demolish. So again, componentry. How do we prevent this? We do have a system in place, which is itemized crates come down. We have an inventory. So this is within our remit. It just needs more robust checks. So we should be checking it at Rislip when it's delivered. We should be checking it at Rislip when it's loaded on the trains. We should be checking the train loading that it's in there. We should be checking it when it comes off the train's loaded on site. I think maybe a little bit more detail. We do lay down diagrams for attachments on RRV and other componentry, but stuff that comes from Progress or track stores from Lillybridge, from Howard, it gets to site and it's sort of offloaded wherever we can put it, and then it's a scramble match to find, plates, components, IRJs, everything. When we go to look for something, we need to take more care to put the stuff back in the crate because it ends up strewn all over the place. And we do have a risk where it did happen at Paddington where stuff got put in the trash and sent off on the train. We had to go and retrieve it from Rislip again. So how do we capture this? Again, I know it's like beating you with a stick, but I'll offer this to the floor. Yeah, straight away. So yeah, ITPs, quality closed calls, wrong components are installed. Again, this requires communication with the BB, Balfour Beatty suppliers generally. I think commercially to look at how do we claim compensation for poor quality materials or stuff that's not brought to site, causes a big problem. Potentially it's really going to bite us in the ass at some stage whenever we don't have something that we need to put in. So how to ensure, this is what we're talking about, and that's a good suggestion earlier. How do we ensure we are defect free? How do we get the defect free? So it's just the engineers on backs. It's a designated defect free delivery engineer who's already there. It can be one of the engineers that they're nominated to do it. So all defects closed out, or as much as we can, walking with the handback. Any defects that have been identified, logged, and it means the defect free delivery engineer on that shift, if he hasn't closed anything out, he passes it on to the next shift, and if there's anything being delivered from Rise Up to help remove that defect, that's just a handover between the engineers on back shift and night shift, and this, we can capture it and then implement the repair. So the next one it's a case study of where we've actually delivered Balfour Beatty or delivered defect-free projects across the UK. It's you're going to hear a lot more of this defect-free. It's a big thing, big drive within Balfour Beatty within the wider business at the moment. How is defect-free achieved, or zero defects? So the A43 in Moulton Phase 2, it's a project that was delivered with zero defects. It's a complex project as well. Speaking to the team up there, and they've done a presentation on it, I can share that with anyone that they like. They have said there wasn't one single element to achieve zero defects. There are a number of factors, both hard and soft, within the teams to achieve defect free. The big thing was, they said, it was driven from the project director down. So the project director had got this in his head, and at every opportunity he was sharing it with his team that he needed this focus on quality, and he wanted these projects delivered defect free. Now at Moulton they used a 4-point approach. So the first one was vision, and as I said, that's from the top down. So that vision's from the top down. The engineers should be helping drive this. All the senior delivery engineers, the lead engineers, delivery managers, senior supervisors all buy into this, and that's the vision. The process element of it was mind change and culture change. So it's changing everybody's minds, and it's drumming that into people at every opportunity. So it's every briefing, every review, at the forefront of everybody's mind should be quality. The collaboration element was everyone did buy into it, and they have said that once everyone bought into it, it built up momentum and it was easy. So they used, to help capture this, they used the sand cone model, which is a proven model for defect-free delivery. And what they're saying is quality is the base on which everything is built. Lasting improvements are achieved if it's built on quality. So quality on the sand cone model, quality comes above everything else except safety. In our business, safety and reliability, that would be. So with that in mind, the one thing that I can see, quality, so we haven't always been thinking about quality. ITT projects, like most projects within the construction industry, are cost and program driven. So they're the drivers, cost and program. Quality is not considered. I'm not privy to a lot of the sort of viz boards on the project managers' weekly meetings, but I'd be interested to see where quality does sit presently. After speaking to a couple of people, they reckon it's maybe 7th on the list. Where we do capture the quality within ITT is at the diff. And I know we've looked at the diff and we're trying to improve how that information gets fed out to the other teams, because the diff seems to be team specific. We go through the quality issues, that gets fed to the team, and then the wider business doesn't. We don't get the benefit of getting all these defects and finding out what's wrong and getting the programs in place to remove those and remove the cause.
I think that ties in quite nicely as well, Damian, with what Rooney said a few slides ago. What he said, it was like, we need to move our mindset, which is currently around maximum delivery, to a more DAO-free weekend mentality, I guess. Do you think that is the case?
Yeah, so I agree. Yeah, so the one that I would go back to as an example for that is the ballast profiling. So the ballast profiling, if we get the site, and this is from the ops should be doing these quality close calls. If we get the site and we don't have enough time to profile the ballast, and we're stockpiling it over at the fence, whatever it is, we know we're going to have to go back and do all this rework. So why are we stockpiling it? So that goes back to the planning stages. So do we not plan enough time in the program to do the ballast profiling? I think we need to allow more time in our programs for that. If we don't have enough time, maybe there's been program slippage, so that's understandable. We're against the cost, so that'll have to be at the follow-up works. We need to get the railway back. We need to get it open on Monday morning. That's forefront in everyone's mind. That'll never change. But I think with proper planning and enough time, and if the guys are putting in, and this is the ops, these are the guys that are putting their boots on ballast. These are the guys that are shoveling ballast, putting it on trolleys, redistributing it around the site. They don't want to do it. We don't want them to do it. So in the planning process, I think we can eliminate this, unless we get program slippage. Then it's inevitable.
Yeah, and on that point as well, Gary said we need to get the night supervisors more involved in the planning stages, so we can improve.
So we know there's a gap between days and nights. We will go and brief this tonight as well. We'll maybe have more of a focus on the actual gangs and what they do. So we tweak it slightly for our sort of nighttime audience. But yes, we need those guys. We need them input. We need those involved in everything we do. They're core to our success. So just to summarize, so the challenge to reach defect-free delivery is a culture change. Accepting the fact of work throughout the delivery of all projects, we need to stop accepting it. We need to just say, no, we can do better than this. Right first time. We pushed that for years. We have got better. We need to get to where other projects are delivering defect-free. So we need to capture all instances where defects are installed, itemize and log poor quality, make sure we're getting those quality close calls in, make sure we can set up an email for quality, an inbox, send in emails. We need the components to be correct and the workmanship to be correct. So there's everything else we work out. We stop, we test, we overcome, we work together to achieve defect-free delivery. We become lean and efficient, and that's where Alistair wants us to be, and that's where John Lambert wants us to be, and that's the culture we want to work in. So I'm just going to I'm going to share with you, just when I asked many at the start, do people believe that we could be defect free? We can have a look at the responses that come in, Vid, but so just to use a comparison. So in 2016, 2017, we had a big focus was on safety. We had quite a major incident. So in 16, 17, we had 45 injuries, we had 8 red-doors, and we had 9 lost time injuries. Now we had a big push, big focus. Everyone, numerous briefings. I couldn't count them many times. The workforce, the attitude, the culture, it was all reshaped. It was from the top down. Briefings. Listen, this is what we need to do. This is where we need to go. And in 1 year, we halved that. So in 17, 18, we had 23 injuries. The engineers among you will know that 23 isn't exactly half of 45, but it's near enough. We had 2 red-doors as opposed to 8, and we had 5 lost time injuries as opposed to 9. That's more than half in 1 year. Last year, going the right way again, we had 9 injuries, 2 red-doors, and 2 lost time injuries. That's an amazing result over a short period of time. So this is what we can do when we focus on a single important element of the works. So in BPO1, Craig Stevens has done a bit of an Excel sheet on snagging. I don't believe for a second we've captured all the snagging, because snagging tends to get muddled up with rework and stuff like that. So without the drainage figures, we had estimated 100 snags, 736 dials, and that's just across 3 of the delivery teams. So I'd like to put it to the floor. How much of a reduction do you think we could achieve in 1 year? And I think I'll wait on some of the responses to come in on that bit, because I'd be keen to see, do people believe we can reduce this significantly in a year, just a year? Bearing in mind that safety, which is a difficult thing to change, culture, it's a culture change. We have that in 1 year. So as a percentage, if anyone would like to have a punt. So I believe it's a major reduction, and I believe it's an easy win. Yeah, Lee Hollett. Yeah, so that's the general consensus. I can see them coming in. Terry Church, Lee Hollett, 80%. That's the figure I had in my head. I think we can reduce those snags by 80%. If we focus on those 5 prime suspects, if you like, the usual suspects, I think we could commit to reducing the snags. If we had a quarterly review I think in 6 months we'd be down to 50%. I think by the end of the year we could definitely reduce that to 80%. That's a huge saving. That makes us lean. It makes Balfour Beatty a more viable contractor. It makes London Underground a happier customer. So I think it's an easy win, and it's within our grasp to do this. So I'll open the floor to any questions, and I'm hoping that you'll filter them vid. And I hope that my accent wasn't too strong. I was talking very, very slowly.
Yeah, we actually have one from Megan. I guess the defect-free stuff, or the top 5 courses that we spoke about, are the ones that are being consistently picked up. And I guess her question is, how do we pick up the ones that aren't necessarily recorded? How do we make sure they're recorded?
So on a weekend, so the handback walk is where we capture all our snags. So it's not that we're not recording any there. We are recording them there, but we're prioritizing some over others. So that information is getting fed into Field 360 now. It wasn't always been fed into it. You know, we've got this magic database now. It gives us a dashboard, gives us percentages, it gives us. So this is where we're getting all this information. But this is where I've got a lot of my information from. And Megan's had a lot of input, helped me with this, giving me these figures and stuff. So she's the quality manager. So ultimately, we all want to make her life easy. We want to bring up the quality. So I do believe all the snags we picked up on the handbag. Our handbags are very, very thorough. When we do our snag and register and we have it signed off, we do bring the maintainer out. So I'm not sure if Megan understands this. So the maintainer will do a follow-up snagging list. That's additional snagging that he might have picked up, and that might be from, you know, wear and tear on the asset from we actually delivered the works, which is a reason why we should be closing these jobs out and getting the maintainer out within a tighter time scale.
Yeah, Lee's also made a pretty good statement and highlighted the importance of like briefs. So good briefs and how important briefs are to everyone involved in the project. And I think he's saying like we really need to support the frontline staff. So supervisors on here have obviously had a lot of great ideas. How do we kind of facilitate that support so that ideas are heard?
So the narrative at the moment that's coming in, and this text is coming in, this is all recorded. We are recording this vid, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. So we go through it all and we pick up all the good comments, because obviously we've only got an hour and we're getting close to time. So frontline staff, absolutely. That's what makes and breaks us. You know what I mean? We can plan. We need to plan better. A lot of this, as you can see, can be eliminated in the planning stage. It is down to poor planning. So a lot of it's our fault. So the guy trying to drive that pot screw in, well, it's not his fault. His ballast finds in that hole. It's our fault that we didn't put the process in place, plan it better, make sure that when he pulled that cap out, he could drive his pot screw home. And that's 60% of our rework done, if we can do that.
Simon also said that we actually get different snagging lists from the handback and the maintainer. How can we make that kind of coherent or consistent between the two?
So somebody brought up a good point earlier with trying to get the maintainer out on the back shift to do the walk. And some of them, I think some of the Metline maintainers used to do it. You know, it's positive and it's good. It's a good news story for us because the maintainers getting involved in the delivery and we fix it up straight away. I don't think so. When we come to do the project completion handback certificate, the maintainer will come out and he will walk, and we will, you know, we will get additional snags. You know, there'll be stuff, not necessarily stuff we missed. There'll be stuff that's deteriorated, or the stuff that, you know, many times we've gone out and reground switches or redressed the crossing, or we can get better at this. The processes need looked at. So, but a lot of it can be eliminated with proper planning.
Yeah, I think that's all for now in terms of questions.
All right.
Yeah. So if we go to the next slide.
Yeah. So feedback. So I'd like to get some feedback for this presentation and the knowledge sharing presentations going forward. So we do have a schedule for the next 5 or 6 weeks. Guys get involved. So we know what we're doing, but we'd obviously like some ideas, any issues that anyone wants to address. I'd like to find out, to find these useful. I know we want to set up a YouTube channel to put these presentations on so people can look at them, give us feedback. Ultimately, we want to improve collaboration between TFL and Balfour Beatty. Doing this, we want to be on our journey to world class. This is where it starts. So that's all it's there. So people with want to leave some feedback can email me. We are in the process of setting up a quality inbox. So when I get that details, I'll email it out. And that's it.
Damian. Damian. Thanks for that, Damian. I think that was an excellent presentation. Well done. I think another great thing about this is the amount of people that we've got on the call. Not only the amount of people, but the interaction that we've got from different people. It shows that there's a massive passion for making sure that we get this right. And I agree with lots of things that Damian said there, and a lot of things that have come back from the guys on the call. As Vid said, this has been recorded. We are going to take out, we're going to analyse that and see what we can do with it. The biggest things for me coming through the sort of training for the gangs, the defect-free nominated person for each shift, I think will bring us on leaps and bounds. The quality close calls, quality featuring in every meeting. I think these are all brilliant things. It's things that we're going to start seeing over the course of the coming months and, well, years, hopefully. But I'm with Damian again. I want us to make sure we remain the best at what we do. Getting this right is the next big step forward for me. So thank you very much, Damian. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Well done.
No worries. Thank you. Sorry, Pradeep.
Bye, Damian. Thanks.
Okay, baby. Yeah. Where's Daddy set? Say hello.
Marty. All right, son.
How you doing, mate? All right?
All right, yourself.
Not too bad. I'll ping you an email in a second. I'll put some notes down during that.
All right. I have to go. Another call coming in. All right. Hi, Maya.
Daddy's one. Daddy's scary. Daddy's scary.
I have another call coming. I better go. All right.
Hey, mate, you're on your Balfour's account or TFL?
Balfour's.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you. See you later.